You're listening to Your Calm Parenting Path. I'm your host, Nina, a mindful parenting coach and mum, here to help you go from overwhelmed and reactive to calm, confident, and connected with your kids. This show is for parents who want to raise their children with more patience, less stress, and a whole lot more joy. Because small shifts make a big impact, and you can build the parenting life you've always wanted. If you want to see what I'm up to, follow me on Instagram at Mindful Parenting Lifestyle, and don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's get started. Hello, lovely listener, and welcome back to Your Calm Parenting Path. Today on the podcast, I'm joined by Dr. Jen Ferris. Jen is a writer, former child development professor, and author of Parenting with Self-Compassion. Through her work, she explores the very real pressure many parents feel to get everything right and why it can be so easy to fall into self-doubt, guilt, and the feeling that we should be coping better than we are. In this episode, we're going to be talking about self-compassion, what it really means in the context of parenting, why it can feel so hard to practice, and how learning to be a little kinder to ourselves can make a big difference in family life. Dr. Jen, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Nina.
So, Jen, just to start with, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and the work that you're doing?
Well, yeah, as you said, I was a child development professor for many years. I worked with children of all ages before that, and I'm a mom of two. They're teenagers now. And yeah, when I took a break from teaching, I started writing, and it led me to this parenting book.
Fantastic. So you were a child development professor before writing and before becoming an author. What led you to focus on self-compassion in particular?
Yeah, well, I became a parent and I thought it would be super easy. And it,
I
it
know
was
that one.
so much harder than I could have ever imagined it being. I had these expectations, it's a piece of cake. But yeah, the sleep deprivation, the hormone changes, like no time to yourself. There were times where it was really lonely and overwhelming for me. And as I mentioned, my kids are teenagers now. I took a break from teaching, started to write. And as I wrote those little stories of my worst parenting moments, I realized that it was self-compassion that was what helped me the most in those tough times. And so I wanted to share that with other parents.
Yeah. And look, I read your book, Parenting with Self-Compassion, before our interview. And I have to say there was so many great tips, but also so many relatable tips. I was nodding along in so many of your stories, just thinking, oh, yes, I've been there. And I think that feeling of not being alone and of knowing that, even child development professors still struggle with the same stuff that everyone else does. And we're not alone in our struggles. So I really am grateful that you've written this book for these new mums or, not even new mums that might be into their teenage years, for them to be able to feel not so alone and that we're all in this fight together to be parents, to be the best parent that we can be. So thank you so much for doing that. I will put a link in the show notes for anybody that wants to grab your book because I highly recommend it. So for parents who might not be familiar with the term, how do you explain self-compassion in a simple, real-life way?
I know it can kind of sound woo-woo, right? That like, oh, you're being indulgent or you're being really easy on yourself. But that isn't it. Self-compassion is treating yourself with the same kindness and care that you would give to your best friend. And it's made up of three parts. So first, there's the self-kindness, which is the warmth. It's the, I'm going to be okay. I'm here for you. The mindfulness, being aware of and accepting of how you're feeling in that moment. It's okay to feel angry, to feel upset or overwhelmed. And then the common humanity, knowing that you aren't the only one going through this. Like you mentioned, all parents have tough times. You're not alone. When my oldest was a baby and I was like in it, and my husband came home and I just handed her to him, went in the bathroom, locked the door, and just cried hysterically because I was so overwhelmed and so isolated. And my self-talk was like, it's hopeless. It's never going to get any better. And when I use the self-compassion, then I can have these thoughts of like, I'm so sorry that it's this hard right now. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. Most parents have hard times. Like you said, you're not alone.
Mhm.
And then over time, that starts to get internalized, and I start to notice how I'm feeling in the moment and why. And then I can have kindness for myself for feeling that way. And then I can remember, like, I'm not alone. And there's other parents out there going through this too. And then I can take that breath. And then, it helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it helps me become a better parent because over time I'm calmer and less reactive. It's easier to be patient and present with my kids. There's less conflict, stress, and tension in the home.
Mhm.
Instead of reacting on impulse when I'm frustrated, I can be curious and flexible, responding to my kids in a way that builds a better relationship. And, when I admit to my mistakes and I treat myself gently, then my kids see that and they see that the
Mhm.
world isn't going to end if they make a mistake. And then they learn to be kind to themselves too.
Oh gosh, it's like win, 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 win. There's so many benefits to self-compassion. And all of those ones that you mentioned are ones that I can really relate to as well. But I guess some parents, they find it hard to be kind to themselves. So what are some signs that a parent might be being really hard on themselves and they don't even notice it?
Mm. Yeah. Well, one sign that you're being hard on yourself is your self talk.
Mm,
So, you can try to listen to yourself talk and it can be hard, but if you make a mistake and you hear yourself say, "That was horrible. You're a bad mom." Like you're being too hard on yourself.
yeah,
You don't deserve that. You wouldn't say that to someone else, right? And sometimes
exactly.
family or friends might notice that you're being hard on yourself before you do. They'll hear you describe a situation, the wording that you use is tough on yourself, like, "I really messed up and I'm never gonna get better at this." But being more mindful helps. Like, if you can notice that negative self-talk and over time start to replace it with more positive self-talk. What would I say to my good friend? "Well, it sounds like it's really hard right now. It would be for anyone. I'm here
Mhm.
for you. You're a good mom." Before bed, you can think of like 1 to 3 things that you did right that day,
Oh,
like little moments
yeah.
that went really well. And
Yep.
that kind of helps change your brain too, right? Finding community is great, parent and child groups at the park online, just to remind yourself like others are going through these tough times too. And you can talk to your friends and family, reach out to a qualified therapist or a parent coach
Mm,
that you click with because changing your self talk can be really hard. We learn this as children,
mm,
and it can really help to have someone there to help us get through that. But mindfulness is a great first step. And that's why I love your podcast and the work that you do so
mm.
much.
Yeah, thank you. Do you have a favorite mantra that you use or that you share with people to help them begin their positive self-talk or an affirmation, for example? Do you have anything? I have one of mine that I always say when I'm stressed out is it's not an emergency. And that
Yeah.
really helps to calm me down and make me realize that it's okay to be late to something. It doesn't make me a bad person. It's not an emergency. So do you have anything like that that you share with parents?
Yeah, I mean, you'll probably hear me repeat the things.
Yeah.
But yes, it's temporary, it's not the end of the world. Like, wherever you live, you kind of have the different terminology, right? But like, it's okay. You're still a good mom. Everyone makes mistakes. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
they still love you, you love them. And you talk about it's the connection that matters more. We're not going to be
yeah.
perfect. No one is perfect. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So do you
So,
have some
yeah.
examples of when you might have lost your mind with your kids?
It's like you lose your patience, right, in real life, and for me, it was yelling. I would yell when I felt overwhelmed, overstimulated. There was one time with my kids, they were arguing in the living room, and I was just like, "Ah, stop it,"
Yep. Can relate to that one.
And yeah. So there was another adult, which was great, and I could take a parent time out and just go into my bedroom, have the lights off,
Mm,
close my eyes, lie down for a minute, take some deep breaths, and, you have to have that self-regulation before you're good to anyone, right?
100%.
And so, after a few breaths, then I can say to myself, "It's okay to make mistakes. I'm still a good mom," and I started to calm down, and then I could think about what had happened out there and why. And so then when I go back out, I can have a discussion with my kids and I can
Mm,
say, I was feeling angry because dot, dot, dot. It's not okay for me to yell. Here's what I'm going to do differently next time. And then I also wanted to ask my children, like, how are you feeling right now? And what do you think happened? How can you do something differently next time too? To get them thinking about and labeling their feelings and being aware of their actions and the effect that they had on someone else in the room, and then ways that they can improve. We can't always take that full time out, right? So you
Mm.
talk a lot about the power of the pause.
Yeah.
There was a time in my car, I'm driving back, the kids are in the back seat, they're pinching, they're hitting, one starts screaming,
Gosh.
and now I can't drive. So
Yeah.
I have to pull the car over and take a pause, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Take a
yes.
couple deep breaths really quick. They know that this is weird. This doesn't happen. And so I say to myself, it's going to be all right. This is temporary. Okay, now I can talk to them, quickly and just kind of explain. It isn't okay to touch her body. That
Mm.
hurts her. And then to the child who screamed, like, I understand why, because you were in pain, but it's not safe for me to drive when they're screaming. And then when we're all a little bit calmer, then we can drive home and, talk about it more there.
Yeah, and so everyone could see that you were taking the lead, you're taking that time to process. First of all, keeping them safe by not being stressed out while you're driving. But then, the process that you're going through in your mind, you're also sharing that with them so that then they can see what you're going through and then talking about it at home. I love that example because kids fighting in the car is so common and it's so frustrating when we try to drive. And I think that's really great to let parents know you can pull over, you can take a pause to be kind to yourself so you don't have to drive home in those conditions. So, yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have any other examples, Dr. Jen?
Well, you talk a lot on your show about how the small shifts over
Yeah.
time can create big results, right? Have a big impact. And one small shift, kind of related to self-compassion that I found is I put a hand on my heart and just take a couple deep breaths, and it like connects you more to your body. It actually brings down your heart rate and your blood pressure, which is crazy, but it does start to calm you down so you can take some breaths. And, then I ask myself, what do I need right now? Because, like, as parents, we're going, going, going. We can get overwhelmed. We don't think about what we need. And sometimes, like, I just need a second to go lie down if I can,
Yeah.
if it's possible, right? Or I need to call a friend and get some support. I need some help. Mindfulness moments and meditation are great, but those are kind of the two, like, tiny little action items that I would say, the hand on the heart and what do I need right now? And then it's suggested that whenever we make any small changes, that we start in a calm environment. Because then it's going to
Cool.
be easier to use
Yes.
it when you are under stress, like a muscle memory.
Yep. Beautiful. So you're suggesting to do this process when it's a happy day. Everyone's fine. Just put your hand on your heart and say, what do I need now? I do want that coffee. I do need that coffee. I need a cuddle, that kind of thing. And so practicing it before you get into those stressful moments can help to, and it also, I guess, helps to remember to do them as well if you've practiced it in a non-stressful environment.
That's right.
Ah, love it. You beat me to asking you that question, so that's really good. I ask all my guests one small shift to recommend for parents. So hand on your heart, ask yourself, what do I need right now? And I think really be authentic in your response, not just, I need them to stop talking or I need them to stop hitting, but what do you need right now? I guess.
That's right.
Yeah, digging deep into what you need. Beautiful. Oh, Dr. Jen, this has been such a lovely conversation. Please share, where can people find your book, find you, and learn how to work with you if they wanted to?
Yeah, so you can find me at drjenferris.com and at Dr. Jen Ferris on Instagram and other social media sites. You can find the book, Parenting with Self-Compassion, on Amazon and in more and more independent bookstores around. Yeah.
It's really great to have you on the show because the book is so good. And
Oh,
it's
thank you. I really do love your podcast so much.
Oh, thank you.
And the work that you do, you really are inspiring.
Oh,
Thank you.
you. Same. And so, lovely listener, I hope that this episode has really helped to know that you're not alone and that self-compassion can make such a difference to the way that you present yourself and the way you talk to yourself and the way you show up as a parent. I look forward to seeing you again next week on your calm parenting path. Thanks for listening to Your Calm Parenting Path. I am so glad you're here. and I hope this episode gave you something useful to take into your parenting journey. If you'd like to dive deeper, sign up to my mailing list at mindfulparentinglifestyle.com.au for more tips and insights, or book a free chat to learn how we can work together. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. I look forward to speaking with you next time on Your Calm Parenting Path.